Hello again, this is Jasmina, and in this video, I'm going to talk about her two elements. Now, her two elements affect a single sector, and they create good energies within that sector for specific purposes. And to activate this, you need to work in that sector. And by work, I mean doing some constructive activity, not like watching TV, which, unless that's your job, is not terribly constructive. This can improve your life being in one of these sectors by giving you motivation, inspiration, wisdom, or willpower to be able to reach your goals. So this is a pretty good thing, and this is pretty easy to activate just by working in that area without having to activate like a special formation in your flying star chart. And this is related to your flying star chart. Now, the formations of these elements may be permanent or annual, and if they're permanent, they're in your natal flying star chart. And if they're annual, they're a combination of the annual chart and your natal chart. And if it's annual, it's a good year to start a big project to improve your life or start a new endeavor. The normal kind of thing you do with an annual formation. Now, although these sectors do help you reach your goals, you must make an effort generally to gain a new skill. That's usually what holds you back a lot. Sometimes it's just new information. And if you're in that sector, you will be able to find the right information or gain the right skill that you need to move forward. There are several flying star charts that have permanent HER2 combinations, and more than one, that is, and some charts have none. So you just have to basically look at what you have. And I'm going to have another video a bit later that will give you tables for all this. But there's a lot of work involved collecting all the data, making sure I got it right. So it won't be out immediately. Now, if the sector is not used in a way that can tap into the good energies, then basically they don't do anything for you. So if you do the wrong activity in the wrong spot, it's like doing it anywhere and not gaining any extra energy. It is much like an activated special formation, and that is if what you do at home is only like watch TV or play video games, your life won't improve. So just like in an activated special formation, you have to put in some energy to get the right energy and the right information back to you to improve your life. Now, any of the flying stars can combine within one sector, and for the HER2 elements, the permanent ones, it can be the base and sitting, base facing, or sitting and facing. And there is no order of importance. They're all equal in terms of giving you energy. Now, whenever possible, in using these areas, you want to choose a personal, good facing direction for you, and it's based on your quad number. And don't worry if the sector is listed as one of your neutral or negative directions. You're not using it as a direction. You're using it as a location. And the direction you work in is completely irrelevant to the sector of the house you are working in. So they're totally divorced of one another. So just worry about the direction in the room that has the good HER2 elements. So this again is the HER2. I'm pretty sure I've shown this at least once or twice or more. And this is the typical way it's shown. It seems a little weird, but it's always north, south, east, west, north, south, east, west for the numbering. And I'm not sure why. It's never been explained to me why it's this way, but for some reason, the 2 and 7 get the fire, and the 4 and the 9 get the metal. And that does seem a little weird, but having 3 and 8 have wood, that makes sense because the 3 is in the east, and having 1 with water in the north, that makes sense. But I just say this is the way it is. You just have to live with it. I can't really explain it. So when we look at the permanent HER2 elements, we are talking about your natal flying star chart. And if you have the 2 and the 7 in the south, then that sector, working in that south sector, will give you motivation, inspiration, and the ability to innovate. So that's pretty good. If you're in the north and you have in your natal flying star chart the 1 and the 6 in the north, then you can get the wisdom, the recognition, help from people. It's also very good. Here in the east, if you have both 3 and 8, and it can be in the east or the southeast where the green area is, that is growth, improvement where you need it, transformation to a better way of life. And then finally, the 4 and the 9, they can be in the 2 gray sectors here in the northwest or west, and this is where you can gain willpower and leadership. So this is a good sector if you're lacking in those abilities. And there's also this diagonal here with the earth, and the 2-7 can be in any one of those sectors, and it gives you all the energy you get from fire, but you also get the stability of earth. So this might actually be better than just having it in the south, and you've got a lot more chances. So the 2 and 7 can be in 4 different sectors, whereas the 1 can only be in 1. That is, the 1 and the 6 can only be in the north sector. The 3 and the 8 can be here, and the 4 and the 9 can be here. So that is what you have. Now, when it comes to annual, there's 2 ways you can get an annual HER2 element. You can have 2 and 7 somewhere in your flying star chart, your natal flying star chart, and you wait for the number 9, which is fire, to enter that sector where you already have the 2 and the 7. And again, it gives you the same things, but only for 1 year that the permanent one does. If you have the 1 and the 6 anywhere, and of course, we're talking anywhere except for where they are permanent, and you let the 1 come in, which is water, then you're going to activate the water. For the wood, if you've got the 3 and the 8 anywhere, either the 3 or the 4 can enter, and so this will mean 2 years in a row that you have this, which is kind of good. And then for the last one, for metal, if you have a 4 and a 9 somewhere, let's say here in the northeast, and then you just wait for 6 or 7 in the annual star to come into that sector, and you'll have that year your metal combination that gives you this ability of more willpower and a better leadership. The other way is if you have a 2 in the south, and you wait for the 7, the annual 7 to come into there. So now you're already in the south, you've got one of it, you just need to wait for the other number to come. And similarly, you can have a 7 in the south, and you're waiting for the 2. And it gives you what the annual does just for 1 year. You can see that same thing can happen if you've got a 1 in the north and you're waiting for the 6, or the 6 in the north and you're waiting for the 1. In the east and southeast, you could have a 3 waiting for the 8, or the 8 waiting for a 3. And in the west and northwest, you could have a 4 waiting for the 9, or a 9 waiting for the 4. And in this case, you could have 2 anywhere here, and waiting for the 7. And again, you could have the 7 waiting for the 2. And in this case, you get both the earth and the fire. So that's stability plus everything with fire. So let's go to an example. This is a period 8 north 1 facing house. And if you've looked at these and seen some of my other videos, you might recognize a special formation here, but we're not going to talk about that right now. What we are going to talk about is the Her2 elements. So here we have a 4 and a 9 in the northwest. So that's permanent. And this can give you more willpower and improve leadership skills. If we're looking at the annual, it's going to happen during different years, but you have 5 sectors in which you can have an annual formation happen. You might say, well, you've got all the water here, right? Well, you don't. You need the annual 1 in either one of these cases to be able to activate this, because you need that water. And here you only need to have 9 come in because you've got the 2 and the 7. Here you've got the 7 in the south, you're waiting for the 2. And here we've got the 3 and the 8 already, but we have to wait for 3 or 4 to come in because we're waiting for that extra wood element to come in. Even though there's a 4 here, it doesn't work. So what we have is, this is sort of the summary. We have the permanent one here in the northwest, in the southeast, which is here. In 2026, you will have inspiration and motivation. And so that's a good combo. And in period, or next year, 2024, you're going to actually have 2 things in 2 different sectors. You're going to have wisdom and health in the east, and you're going to have growth and transformation in the center. And that will affect the entire house. Whatever's in the center tends to affect the entire house. So this is a pretty good year. In the northeast, in 2029, you will have, again, wisdom and help. And you'll also have, here, you will have inspiration and motivation. So 2029, 2024 are very good years for this particular house. This chart also has the potential to be a permanent 7-star robbery house because you've got the double 8s here. You've only got about 9 months to actually activate this, and it can be quite hard, and you have to have the right external landforms too. So you might not have time. But it also has a base facing combo 10 with the annual star 6. So if we put 6 here, we got 6 and 4, that'll be 7, that's 7 and 3, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got it. And so this house has some pretty good potential. So this isn't a bad house either. It's got a lot of potential in certain years, and it has some permanently good potential too. So the idea is here, if you lack willpower and leadership skills, a home office in the northwest where we have that permanent 4-9 formation, it's ideal because this will help you gain these skills. However, if you are already quite strong-willed, you have willpower, this is not a problem, your leadership skills are also good, then actually you probably don't want to work in the northwest sector. That would be better as a maybe as a rec room or a den where you just goof off. It is possible for your willpower and your leadership to become too strong. I think it's quite likely that many anorexics have too much willpower because they're able to starve themselves. I can't imagine doing that. Also, I know people who physically push themselves, even when they have physical symptoms that are saying something's not normal. But they keep pushing themselves, and some of them have even died. So this, and it's like they die of a heart attack, and they had symptoms and they ignored them. So this is something you have to be careful about, because you can have too much willpower. You can be too stubborn. And you can also become too bossy if your leadership skills get too strong. So you only want to use this if you need this, if you need this energy, more willpower and more leadership skills. Otherwise, this can be a place where you just relax. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact me here if you have any questions, and visit my ad-free website because I have some things you can use, especially a calculator for UTM to True North. And I will be having, again, another video that's going to give you all the tables for these formations, but it's quite a bit of work, so it will be a little bit in the future. Thank you again for watching.